Hello, this is Kinno again, and as promised, I'm making this time a video about Arcanist set, because there were some changes in the latest alpha build, which addressed also this set, and I will give you my opinion about it and how those things actually affect the game. Now, for those who don't know what Arcanist set is or what it was back in the day, there was a great synergy between fast cooldowns and spamming your abilities to gain this set bonus, 6-piece bonus, which is when you cast arcane abilities, you gain charges, and then after you got 10 of them, then you were basically invincible. You got 90% of damage reduction and 300% of bonus damage. In this alpha build, they changed, so you have to have only 7 charges, but they reduced the damage reduction to 70%, which is shown here. Actually, in the newest build, it should be 80%, but I haven't measured it. And the damage reduction is at that level, and the damage bonus is still 300, but in the new version it should be 400. I haven't tested it, but in my opinion it doesn't make much difference if you change those small values, because the set itself is broken. You don't have the same synergy you used to have, and all classes are clearing much higher trials nowadays than they used to, because the new era brought high AoE damage and synergized bonuses from belts and other stuff, so the damage is a lot higher. But Arcanist, this change actually brought it exactly to the same level it was before. I did some gameplay and I cleared trial 140. Actually, my best was probably 136 when it was the best set. But now I thought that this change maybe brought it to the level, and I just did clear 140, and you see that yes, Cosmic Ripple is now the first with the latest change, and I was doing only 8 billion DPS, and my finish time was barely in the limits of the trial. So yeah, I will start a new one, and I will show you how it actually acts in trial now with the changes. So you used to be able to constantly keep up the Shard of the Frozen Time debuff, and then the damage reduction basically kept you alive. But those were low trials. Nowadays, if you see, I have it on, and I'm still getting stomped basically. So it doesn't help me. Even if it was 80%, at 140 maybe I would survive, but you will not get any higher, because the build itself required you to be inside the mobs, but now you have to be on the side. You can't jump in. Once you jump in, then you basically are overwhelmed and you will be killed instantly. So this is probably the largest group I can pull, and slowly work it down. So yeah, those changes, I'm not sure what is the direction, what the developers are aiming this build to be, but in my opinion it needs some really big changes to be even barely viable at the moment. The damage output is just not there. Yeah, there is actually no point of going further. You see that it's very hectic and hard to keep yourself alive in the situation. And actually, yeah, I will finish this trial and I will show you the gear. Yes, so I have full CT set with with Fire Lily and all the basic stuff you are seeing nowadays on mages, and compared to the old version of Arcanist, I'm like 10 times more toughness. So yeah, this is how it actually has changed. So, and in this patch they also changed that the damage type of this weapon is now arcane damage. Arcane damage in this game at the moment is actually another issue, because there is only one skill in the game which is arcane damage, and this is arcane bolts. There is no other skill on no other classes which use this type of damage, and now there is also a weapon that does it. Making it arcane damage, it takes some damage away from, for example, Stormcaller set, where the nature damage synergized really well. And also in this build we are using Singularity, which is also nature damage. So at the moment it's mixed damage build, which is also quite inefficient in this manner. But even if they change the damage type of Singularity to arcane damage, if I'm going, I can go back to the trial, but yeah, the Singularity was last basically, and 1% or 2%, so it's really small damage anyway. If you do it, change it to arcane damage, it's gonna be 3-4% maybe, but that's not gonna help the DPS either. If I have thought about Arcanist set, then I wouldn't like to have it exactly the same way as it was, so you will constantly run around in this Shard of Frozen Time effect and just spamming abilities. In my opinion, the Arcanist set should be more like mage assassin type, so you have your time which you are invincible, and this is the time you have to do your damage, and then you have to jump out and recharge your charges and then go back in. So there are a couple of ideas what I think the set could go. For example, change the 6-piece bonus to be, for the build to be like absorb and release type of build. So basically, when you get 6 charges, you will be in Shards of Frozen Time effect, where in 5 seconds you will absorb all damage you get. So basically, in gameplay, this is the time you jump into the mobs and you let them hit you as much as possible. And this will wind up your damage modifier starting from that moment. And as that 5 second ends, you will lose the damage reduction buff, but you will gain a damage multiplier for your next actions, and this multiplier will be in effect until the next multiplier is added. So take as long as you want, but you know you can't use your abilities. For example, you got a really big mob pack and the damage modifier is really big, but using only arcane bolts, you are not going to take them down, so you need to use other abilities, survival abilities, whatever. So eventually you will still have to go into the Shard of Frozen Time effect, and by that time you have to have a lot of mobs again, or high damage source to wind up the damage again. So it's gonna be and I think that would be a cool gameplay, and it could synergize with the build with other abilities, defensive abilities, or whatever you want to use. And as for arcane damage, I think the damage type itself should be changed to be like elemental damage, or arcane damage, which is basically any damage type in the game, but it should have a reduced effect. For example, if you put arcane damage to your item, it will add damage to all elemental types, but it's gonna have like 75% of the damage. So I think that would be a better idea. It would help out dual damage builds, and also it's making the arcane damage type less useless. like it is at the moment. Even if Arcanist is revived, then this damage type is only on one class and only on one build, which is kind of wasteful in my opinion. But yeah, there are a lot of ways this build could work, but it needs a big damage buff to make it viable. I hope that you developers have some cool ideas evolving from my idea or any other ideas. But yeah, it's an awesome set if it works. Thank you. Bye.